Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Government Business Today. I'm, as always, excited to be able to join you each week to allow you to get in on some tools, tips, and strategies that can help you grow and expand your government contracting business. So, this week, guys, we're going to be focusing our attention on some of you guys who are veteran entrepreneurs. And this is especially a shout out to some of you guys who may be veterans who have looked at perhaps your next chapters in life of being able to go forward and get yourself into business. And so we're going to touch on some of those opportunities here today. So I'm always excited to be able to join you. So one of the things that we're going to certainly touch on as we go along here is we're going to have, I'm really, really excited to have one of our guests, a good friend of mine, who is going to join us today, and he's going to share some information about him. And I'm not going to steal any of his thunder, but I'm just really excited to have him join us. And so one of the things that's going to be really, really helpful for you as you go along is we're going to talk to you about some opportunities, actually maybe some tools and strategies. He doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to ask him to share some information with you, maybe some bullet points about how you can get access to capital to actually start your business. And so this guy is a real strategist, and so I'm really happy to have him on there. On with us today. So if you're watching us right now live here in the studio, I want to welcome each of you guys, and also make sure that you are able to log into our chat room. If you have questions, we'll certainly answer those while we're live here today. And also, we will absolutely be able to allow you to come back. I want to invite you to come back to our studio page at aca.credit. That's www.aca.credit, where you can actually go right on there and look at some past podcasts that we have. So if you guys are really, really interested in getting into some of that, that is going to be a great, great thing for you. So if you're watching us right now, I want to go ahead and welcome our guest, Mr. Urshel Metcalf. This guy is a machine. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there right now. I mean, this guy is like, he's a coach, he's a consultant, he's an entrepreneur. And what I really appreciate about having Urshel on with us today, guys, is this guy has been through it. He is proven. And so, Urshel, I want to welcome you to Government Business Today, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're muted there. Let me see. I think you're muted. Okay, how about now? Nope, I still can't quite hear you here. So I'll tell you what, guys. While he's working through that, I'm glad you're able to see him, so you know that that's actually a real guy. Now I'm always careful about being on video with guys that look that much better than me, but for whatever reason, I'm going to be brave and allow this guy to actually be on with me. So. Having said that, one of the things that I want to share with you guys is that, recently a fund has opened specifically earmarked for those of you who are veteran-owned businesses. And so I wanted to make sure that we put that information out there. And I want to go ahead and give this guy to you guys right now. Just recently, the Wells Fargo supported a community development financial institution here in Texas called People Fund. And some of you guys may already be familiar with People Fund. They are a community development financial institution. And one of the things that's really helpful with these guys is that this particular fund is, I want to say, a $15 million fund specifically for veterans. And so veterans, if you're looking for an opportunity to get yourself in business, to get access to some capital, I certainly want to go ahead and refer you to this website. So if you're a writing person, feel free to jump on that. If you're a writing person, you want to make sure that you can go out to veteranloanfund.com. That's veteranloanfund.com. And there's a contact person that he does not know, by the way, that we're making this referral to you guys. But I just wanted to make sure, since we're broadcasting this out over social media, I just saw this in social media this morning. And so I was really, really excited to see what they're doing. So you want to reach out. You can certainly reach out on LinkedIn and read more about this, or go to their website at veteranloanfund.com and read all about it. And one of the contacts there in the article is the director of the Veteran Loan Fund, Grant Bennett. So you want to make sure that you can reach out to those guys if you are a veteran. Now, each week, guys, one of the things that we do is we come to you to provide you with information for you to be able to help you get started in your government contracting business. And for those of you who are experienced in government contracting, certainly we want to, as always, provide you with that information as well. Now, having said that, one of the cool things that's coming up now is set-aside opportunities. And these set-aside opportunities, one of the things that we're finding from government agencies is that set-aside opportunities oftentimes go unchecked, where you really don't have the opportunity. You really don't have the opportunity to be able to necessarily get access to those, simply because you may be selling services and perhaps not products and services. And so one of the strategies that we certainly promote here at Government Business Today is that if you're going to be in government contracting, guys, you want to make sure that you're selling both products and services, and obviously related products. And so, Urshel, if you're back on with us, I don't know if I can hear you now.
I think you can.
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely can hear you. And so I want to make sure that you could hear Urshel, because he's going to share some really great information with you. But having said that, before we switch to Urshel, I want to make sure that you guys know that there are certainly contracting opportunities out there, set-aside opportunities. And one of the things that we find in working with the contracting officers is oftentimes there are challenges with them being able to source commercial products and capture spending with small minority, veteran, and women-owned businesses. And so that's not all their fault, guys. Some of that has to do with those of us who are entrepreneurs who don't necessarily play in the supply chain. And so right now, you might say, well, why would in the world would somebody want to get in the supply chain business, Irv, when all the supply chain challenges are going on around the world? Guys, this is the time to get into the supply chain business, because there are problems, all right? And so just want to put out there that, listen, you guys can reach out to us, certainly, whatever your favorite social media platform is. Get some information about what we're talking about here, and we'll certainly get some information out to you to give you more information about how you can start up and or expand your government contracting business. Now, having said that, we got my good friend Urshel Metcalf on, and let me tell you what, man, I am so thrilled to have you on the show today, Urshel. Thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate always the opportunity. Listen, one of my favorite things is just when we get on the phone and just start chopping it up. It has never been unfruitful or uninspiring, and so to be able to do it in this format is even more exciting because we get to bring some people to the party. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. I was on Safari, so I just changed browsers because it wouldn't let me change anything and wouldn't let me unmute. And so I just jumped over to Chrome, and everything seems to be working fine.
Well, you know what? That's what I'm not surprised at all at that, because that is what makes you you, sir. And it's interesting you mentioned Safari because for whatever reason, a lot of times Safari's browser just blocks everything. And so when we're doing broadcasts, and I think I should make sure that as we go forward that we let people know that probably Chrome is going to be the optimized browser for us to be able to do some of this, because I want you to know I completely understand. But I'm really glad you're here, man.
Awesome.
Having said that, you might see the bearded wonder there, my good friend. This is actually my younger brother, Bertrand.
Okay. Okay. I see it.
Yeah, I know you can see it. I mean, all you can do is you can look at our heads and you can tell that clearly we're related.
Thank God we have the split screen, because now you can see the gene pool.
So,
I love it.
Urshel, I'm really happy to introduce you. I've invited Bertrand McHenry. My normal co-host is Robert Lendrim, who is out probably vacationing somewhere in the deep Northeast United States. And so I invited Bertrand, my good friend, to join me and on today as a guest co-host, because I did not want to be on here by myself with you asking me these questions. So anyway, real quick, Urshel, give us a brief backstory about you and kind of how you got to where you are, and then Bertrand, if you'll jump in here, I want to make sure people know who you are and what you're up to as well.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it started way back in history. Oh no, that's Beastie Boys. Sorry. So yeah, I'm here in Dallas, which is home for me. It's where I was born. But my adult life started with me joining the Marine Corps back in 1988. I served on active duty for 13 years. Participated in a little party in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait back in the early 90s, Desert Storm, and didn't leave anything over there. So hadn't had any reason to go back. But after my time on active duty, which, I had a great tour. I loved my time in the Marine Corps. I spent the next really about 10 years or so doing church work, doing missionary work. Spent some time in Brazil and Mexico and Italy, and got to put my passport to work for reasons that were less dire than when I went to countries in my previous employ, and but just as important, or maybe even more important. But after that, in 2009, I came home to Dallas, and wasn't the best time in the world to be changing careers. And so as a result, I ended up at one of the places that's always hiring, and that's an insurance company. And it was a national insurance company, but it was a really bad one. But I learned the trade, and I started learning about things that I'd never really thought about before that. And that's really some of the economic aspects of life. And so after about a year, I was reborn again, and found out that after about 18 months, I suck as an employee for anybody. And so that's where the entrepreneurial journey came in. I didn't get the full concept or understanding of that, though, because I still kept trying it. But I became an entrepreneur, started my own insurance company, worked with a boutique firm, launched an investment company. Sometimes I still wonder how that happens. I told my brother I I just kept tripping and falling and going forward. And the next thing I know, we're raising, $14 million to help entrepreneurs be successful and grow their businesses. But that's where I found a part of the passion that I've had since then. Is what I really loved was seeing people who were entrepreneurs, who were building something, who were good at what they did, who were epic. And someone says, "What's up, Devil Dog Metcalf?" Love it. Um, so I really found a passion there in helping people grow their business. So from there, and this is probably about the time that we had our first conversation, I started working with veteran entrepreneurs, veterans who had that vision and they had that mission accomplishment, but they needed to learn a little bit about the bottom line profitability and how to make a business work. And so I did that in the nonprofit space and then in the for-profit space for a while. And then, after COVID and everything, I really just put all my energy into business development, business growth, business consulting. But like Don Corleone, two things that keep happening to me. Every time I try to walk away from the financial side of things, it pulls me back in. Every time I try to walk away from technology, it pulls me back in. And so, just to break it brief, I got involved with a TV show that was kind of similar to Shark Tank, and ran into some other strategies. And so now I've been primarily working with businesses, business owners, and families. My thing has always been about efficiency, economic efficiency. I can help you go get another customer, but if I help you save $10,000 on your fixed cost, that's 100% profit. The customer, comes with cost. And so once I started learning even more strategies that combined the business strategies that I had learned over time, didn't invent anything. Everything is just learned. And, I'm not a plagiarist, right? So I never just take anybody's information and just repeat it. That's what happens if you just take someone's information. But if you take a bunch of people's information, that's called research. I do a lot of research and I learned a lot. And then I started learning other strategies. So in the insurance and in the wealth management side, I learned about economic efficiency and I learned about how to keep more of your money working for you. And that's extremely important for businesses as well as families. But then I learned another part of it that has to do with other economic tools and economic strategies and specific types of trust that are not legislative trust. So, Irvin, even since the last time we've talked, I now have shifted everything to primarily focusing on helping businesses and families reduce their tax liability by 84%, keeping their money in their coffers working for them. Stealing from Robert Kiyosaki and helping everybody use other people's money for everything that they're trying to do while they grow their business. And then here's one of the huge things is exposing the fallacy of ownership in the way that we most understand it and recognizing, there's something that Nelson Rockefeller said, that the key to success is to own nothing but control everything. And teaching business owners and families how to operate in these systems and become extremely more efficient in the economics of everything that they're doing. So that's what's consuming about 95% of my time now as far as business. And it's been really fun. Constantly learning and constantly excited.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate that because Urshel, let me tell you what, that is the very reason why I reached out to you is because I happen to know, the nice thing about being able, for me to be able to do this, obviously, is I have history with you, and so we've developed our relationship, of course, over the years. And the nice thing is that it's often a very cool thing when you can have trust in a relationship such that you know what you're gonna get, right? And so I really appreciate that. Having said that, though, talking about trust and knowing what you're gonna get, I've got to give my good friend Bertrand here a minute to introduce himself, because it's been a minute since we last talked,
Sure
because
has.
he doesn't write to me anymore. But at any rate, Bertrand and I go back a ways, where we shared the microphone with a very similar format to what we're doing now, except it was not focused on government. It was just focused on small business. So, Bertrand, thanks so much for jumping in the co-pilot.
My pleasure. Of course, Irving. Anything for you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Right.
Anything for you.
Right. So, hey, man, how you doing? What's happening out there?
I'm doing good, and I wish I had gone first, because my business life is not nearly as exciting as Urschel's. I specialize these days, of course, in the coaching realm, but personal business, I specialize in what I call boring businesses, just grunt businesses. I own a string of self-service ice kiosks throughout the Gulf Coast, a couple of car washes, some washaterias, and I like buying assets that are already in the process of having created revenue and are profitable. So that's where I'm at.
Well, you know what, though? You know, I've known you to be really creative when it comes to passive income, man. So I know you're good at it.
Yeah, and Urschel actually said something a minute ago. I think he said you started some investing firms. Was that private equity funds?
Well, we called it disruptive private equity, but it really wasn't. That was just because we really didn't have a name for the space that we fit in at the time. But what we did, it was revenue-based financing. And so we didn't take any equity. We didn't put any debt on their books. It was a velocity investment play, 3 years in, 3 years out. And we realized, as they realized revenue, we took ours off the top. So revenue-based financing. And I called it collaborative capitalism because I like alliteration, but and it seemed to sound good. But you know, it was great for the entrepreneurs, because if they were able, you know, I told them I'm not the guy to take anybody public. I wasn't even sure if I knew what that meant at the time. But if I can help you get closer there and you still own all of your company, then you're in a much better situation.
Yeah, no, that's very good. So, hey, Urschel, you know what? You know, unfortunately, we only do this podcast right for 30 minutes, man. So I want to jump into Epic Optimized. Share with our listeners what that is, and more importantly, we'll give you a couple of opportunities, because I really want people to be able to connect with you after this, or when they see this on social media or whatnot. So tell us about that.
Sure. Almost everything I've done has had optimized in the name, or optimal or something, because, you know, I just believe that, you know, I come across so many people and they're the ones that are epic. Their ideas, their vision, you know, when they've got that look in their eye, that's what's epic. And that's what I want to attach to. I can't teach a mechanic to be a better mechanic, because I don't like working on stuff myself, but I can teach him optimization strategies. And so Epic Optimized is focused primarily on economic efficiency. And so when we take a look at a business or a family structure, which is, you know, family structure is no different than a business based on how it operates economically. And so we take a look at them, and then we recommend certain tools and perform strategies to help them implement those tools, so that it increases the cash flow, business or family. It eliminates the waste. And the average American makes $2.7 million in their lifetime. That's just the average American. And they pay about a third of that in taxes. And our lead accountant, and we have a team of accountants across the nation, our lead accountant's been doing this for 31 years with one of the trust tools that we use. His average reduction in tax liability over 10,000 tax returns is 84%.
Yeah.
So
listen, I gotta stick a pin in it right there. You know I do. You know I do. When you say you can reduce somebody's tax liabilities by 84%, I want to make sure that that we're clear that we're not saying don't pay taxes.
Mm-mm.
We're saying pay your share of taxes by using the strategies that allow you to optimize
Yeah.
your tax liability and keep more liquidity or keep more of your money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I put it I put it this way. I think I stole this from a Warren Buffett interview or something. I believe 100% in paying taxes, just not one penny more than I have to.
Exactly. And I think, listen, I think you just hit most Americans right there. Right. Right.
Right.
So now I've got to ask this question, man. I've got to ask this question because you mentioned a couple of things that, and I know Bertrand, I saw you perk up, man. So I know Bertrand, there's a couple of things that you may have heard as well. And so when you talk about trusts, well, that's something that frankly most people don't even know what that is. And so without drilling down too far in the weeds with that, just what is a trust?
A trust, I'm going to show you something. A trust is just it's just a document. It's a contract is really what it is, especially the type that we deal in, that they're not even legislative trusts. They're just constitutional law contracts that people have operated under. One of the contracts that we use, it's almost 500 years old. It was started in England. And so what the trust does is it just sets up your business, your personal life, whatever, in a way that you're removing ownership from yourself, removing ownership from your business. You're placing it in another entity that now the trustee or trustees control. But now that removes that liability of ownership. It removes it from me. And then depending on the type of trust, now these are not living trusts, but depending on the type of trust, it becomes generational. Think about all the things, the businesses, the things that you've heard, Standard Oil and trust, right? So this has been in front of us our whole life. It's been hidden in plain sight for the average American. I want to show you a book real quick, and so that you can Google this. So this is called The Art of Passing the Buck. It's not my book, so it's not shameless. So now if you go Google this book on Amazon, this is volume 1. You'll see that volume 1 you can get for about $40, $44. It fluctuates a little bit. Volume 2 comes in somewhere around $650 to up to $800 for a paperback book of about 200 pages to 300 pages. Now, why is that? They're not trying to be on the bestseller list if they're selling a paperback book for $700, are they?
No.
It's because there's information in there that they don't expect the average person to have.
Well, it's a known fact that if you want to hide something from a lot of people, man, you put it in a book. Go ahead, Bertrand.
Yeah, I think for the benefit of people who are listening, who are hearing this information for the first time, especially entrepreneurs, should every LLC you make be put into a trust?
Possibly. It depends on the purpose of the business. So for me, I have eliminated my LLC and I operate through 2 different trusts. And one is a business trust. So I do everything. My business trust basically is a service provider and a payment collector. And then my other trust owns everything. And that's, yeah.
So the subsequent, yeah.
So guys, so you know what? We're gonna absolutely have to have you back, Urshel.
Yes, sir.
So listen, before we go, I need you to give people your contact information. What's the best way they can reach you?
Well, the best way, you can go to epicoptimize.com. But the great thing is my name is Urshel, Urshel. If you put that in your Google machine, there's not a whole lot of competition. I'm going to pop up everywhere. But if you go to epicoptimize.com, that'll put you in contact with us. And actually, I got someone that's updating all of that right now because we're revamping everything. But that's the easiest way. And then on all social media, Urshel, Facebook, Urshel, LinkedIn, Urshel Medcalf. Twitter, Urshel. So that's the easiest way to find me.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, listen, I'm going to invite you. Stay with us here in the studio. We're gonna wrap up, guys. Bertrand, thanks so much for joining us on the co-host. Don't go
Absolutely.
away. And hey, guys, listen. Once again, make sure if this information has been meaningful and relevant to you, be sure and pass it along. Invite some of your entrepreneur business friends to join us here on Government Business Today. Our audience is growing, so I want to thank each and every one of you for all of the posts that you've put out there in social media. And thanks for the feedback that you've provided us so far about the content and the quality of content and the guests and strategies and tools and tips that we provide you with here on Government Business Today. Until next Thursday, 12 o'clock, we'll be here on next week with Government Business Today. Until then, take care, everybody.